What's going on, guys? My name is Assam from dopelifecoaching.com, and today I want to talk about an interesting topic that came from a question that one of my clients had. Now, the interesting thing is the client did have a question about this just a couple of hours ago in my last session. His question was, how do you deal with women who, if you're dating other women, like what if they find out? Because he's dating more than one girl right now, and till now they don't know, but he wants to know what to do about it. Now, we will address that, but I think the more important topic that we should talk about is honesty. The topic of honesty. Honesty is one of the most important, if not the most important things when it comes to a relationship, because it is the foundation upon which any relationship is built. And not just relationships, we're talking about friendships, not just intimate relationships, sorry. We're talking about friendships, we're talking about business partnerships, we're talking about any relationship you're having with someone else. So honesty is the best policy. Let's go ahead and go over some of the things that me and the client talked about, as well as some of the things that I believe should come from the honesty aspect itself. All right, so first things first, honesty. Honesty itself, why it's so appreciated and why you should be honest at all times. Now, here's the thing. Most women, right? Most women have dealt with at least one guy who was very dishonest with them or cheated on them to the point where they developed trust issues and a wall, an emotional wall that caused them not to be able to interact with guys or trust them or be able to build that type of rapport with them, even if they want to, because of fear that the guy's not going to be honest. The guy was talking sweet nothings to her, and it was all just bullshit. It was all just fucking bullshit because the guy wasn't honest within himself, and she later found out that he was lying through someone else, and she just doesn't want to deal with that again. And so part of her brain tells her that that's the truth, which unfortunately a lot of guys are liars, unfortunately, and not because they have bad intentions, but they don't have the balls to be honest, and they're afraid of the reaction they might get if they are honest. So that's the first thing, and the second thing is you're gonna get a lot of benefits from being honest either ways. When you're honest with women in general, they're going to appreciate it, even if they don't like it. The fact that you're honest with them, it's going to make them like you even more, even if they don't like what you said. Like if you said something that may have pissed them off or made them feel upset, they'll at least respect it because you're honest, right? And so even if you're brutally honest, even if you're saying something that's really going to hurt them, but at the end of the day, you're honest, and she knows that she could trust you if it were to come down to potential marriage, potential relationship, anything that would require honesty as a foundation. She knows that it's going to be a solid foundation because of you, because you were honest from the start. So dating other women. My client, just a couple of hours ago, he was talking to me because he was afraid that what if the girls he's seeing right now are going to find out about him seeing more than one girl at one time. And so what I told him is it's just totally fine. What you should never do, first off, is you should just never lie. You never just say, oh no, you're the only one I'm seeing. Don't you dare do that, because number one, it shows no integrity. Number two, if she finds out, and most likely she will if you're lying, whichever one of the three, you're fucked. You're fucked. You fuck up your chances. She just develops a big wall, and it's very possible that she's going to end it right then and there because she just can't trust you. If you lied about this, what else could you have possibly lied about within the past, I don't know, weeks or months you've been dating her? But what you do is you don't want to come off as you're trying to hurt her. Like, for example, let's just say, because this situation happened before with someone I know. If you're in a car with a girl, right? You picked her up, whatever, the date went well, and she's still in your car. And she sees, I don't know, a missed call notification from another girl in your car. And she was like, oh, who is that? You don't just lie and be like, oh, that's just, that's my friend's sister or some bullshit. There's two options. You could just be completely honest and be like, hey, I went out with her a couple times. I went out with her last week, whatever. And she's an interesting person, and just keep it at that and don't give too much detail. Or you could still be honest, but just tone it down a bit. Like, for example, let's just say you saw her 3-4 times. and the last time you saw her was last week, you could just be like, yeah, it's just a girl, I did see her last week and we had a good time. Yeah. And then if she asks more questions, you just give her answers, be honest, but don't give too detailed answers. Unless of course you have to, because the last thing you want to do is lie. You just don't lie. You don't do that. Even though the honesty will probably hurt her, depending obviously on her level of attachment to you, she will appreciate the fact that you were honest to begin with. And that's just going to make you come off as much more of an attractive man in general. And the fact that you're seeing other girls, that is very likely going to raise her level of attraction in you anyways, because she knows that other women like you. And psychologically, when people, especially women, know that something else is valued, they all want to value that something, even if she didn't like you to begin with. With some girls, obviously, this comes down to the level of maturity, but you get the point. So just the way you approach it is you don't make it seem as though it's very shady. You be honest with it and talk about it casually. Don't seem suspicious, because if you seem suspicious about it, she's going to get suspicious vibes and she herself is going to feel uncomfortable, and then you're just going to cause a mess, which you don't want to put yourself in. Honesty is always the best policy, and try to tone it down and make it seem more appealing to her, because you also don't want to hurt her. But if it comes down to it and you have to hurt her and be honest, then so be it, but she will appreciate it. So that is that. What else? The consequences that you're going to have to deal with when it comes to being dishonest. A couple of examples I have right here, and they're very bad for the person who was dishonest. And honestly, I blame that person for them. So, just a couple examples from me personally, from my life that I've seen. I want to say as a third party, whatever, the third person, whatever you like to say, of guys who were dishonest with girls and ultimately what ended up happening. So the first one is one of the girls I've been out with before. She was talking to a guy at her college. Back then, there was nothing serious between them, but they were just talking. I don't even know if it was a friendship back then, or I myself don't even know. But all I do know is he liked the attention from her, and he was so insecure that he lied to her because he didn't want her to know about his family. And so he said, oh no, my mom's in the hospital. And so she didn't want to know, I'm sorry, he didn't want her to know that he doesn't go to college. And so he lied to her and he told her, oh, my mom's at home and she's at I forgot, she's at the hospital or some shit. I don't know exactly what happened, but the point is he lied to her just so that, number one, he wanted the attention. Number two, he didn't want her to think lower of him because he doesn't go to college right now or whatever the fuck it was. I can't remember. And this went on for like a year. And afterwards, obviously, his emotions developed for her and his feelings started to develop for her. And he had more of an attachment for her. And so she told him, this isn't going to fucking work out. No, you're a liar. How am I supposed to trust you? If you're going to lie about something for such a long period of time, it's something so crucial that has to do with you, something you're doing in your life, how am I supposed to trust you? And so they ended up being just friends, and obviously he blew it, and I don't blame her reaction because she was straight up lied to. Not even about something silly, but about something so crucial for a whole year. It's like, come on. No wonder. So that's one thing. Another thing is some other girl I went out with before. I was in my car with her, and then I forgot what happened. Oh yeah, the text situation. I did get a text from another girl. I told her the honest truth, like I'm seeing other girls. It's not just you. And she was a bit upset, just a little bit, because we weren't, too deep into the relationship or whatever it was back then. But she did appreciate my honesty. She told me, "I really appreciate your honesty, like from the get go. This is like the second date, and the fact that you're dishonest with me because I have been out." This is her talking. I've been out with a guy before, who I was with, like a first or second date, I can't remember, and he was lying about a phone call he was getting, and he said it was just, it's no, it's nothing important, and then in the end, she realized he was lying, and he was actually talking to her, and then like some weird fucking situation. The moral of the story, guys, is you just don't fucking lie. Stick to your truth, be honest, even if it's going to hurt her, If you don't know what to say, don't think, just be honest. If you don't know what to say, just be honest. It shows that you have integrity and it shows that you have character. Even if it may come off as brutal or very blunt or whatever the fuck word you want to use, it's always the best policy, in my opinion, based on my experience and based on the experience of others that I've witnessed. Because, we've all heard stories about people being cheated on, both guys and girls, of course. But it just kind of fucking sucks when you're dealing with a liar who's not even honest about who he or she is, because the foundation of a relationship, like I said, is all honesty. And if you can't give, or if you can't solidify that one requirement for a relationship, how the fuck else is it going to work out? You tell me. So unfortunately, that's the negative consequences of it, but there's also positive consequences for being honest instead of dishonest. There was this one internet celebrity who I remember watching on YouTube a couple of years ago. This man was known for having multiple girlfriends, and he was just super honest with each and every one of them. He'd go out with a girl, he'd have fun with her, and then he'd take her back to his place, and he'd openly show her his other girlfriends. Oh, this is my girlfriend so and so. This is my girlfriend so and so. And then the new girl just gets extremely shocked. But here's the good thing: she gets shocked and she does get a bit upset, and it's an extremely tough pill to swallow. But here's what she thinks: if he's gonna be honest, if he's gonna be this level of honest with me from the get-go, what could possibly go wrong? If he's this honest, I'm obviously in good hands, because I know it's a fucking really tough pill to swallow to be with a guy who already has multiple girlfriends. But if he's this honest with me, what's the worst that could happen? It's already solid. He's already honest about who he is. He's already honest about what he does, and the other girls could vouch for it. The fact that he has multiple girlfriends kind of shows he already pre-qualifies him as an ideal candidate, an ideal mate, if you will. A mate, whatever proper word you like to use. So that's the reason why I think it's always, 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 always the best policy to be honest, even if it's going to hurt. And a lot of times it will, but most people just take the easy way out and lie. And lies eventually get, discovered. People could eventually see through the lies for what they really are. But honesty really is the best policy. It could sound cliche to many people, but on the long term, it's always the best thing to do. It's the best thing for yourself and the best thing for the other person who's dealing with you, because when you're honest, you don't have to think. You don't have to think of a fucking story to say. You don't have to, go around in circles and just think. You're just going to be. You're going to be your authentic, true self, and that's always what's going to work. Based upon my experience and based upon the experience of many others I know. There also is one thing I want to add relating to the story about the guy with multiple girlfriends. I do personally know one guy who, at this moment, he's considering being with more than one girl. He's not 100% honest, but he's considering. And he did tell both of them about it, because there's two girls. Now, the first one was extremely shocked. Not extremely. What he told me was she was just a bit shocked at first. And she was a bit upset. But about a half hour or an hour later, I can't remember, she called him back and she told him, you know what? This made me like you more, because you're just so honest. And I've never witnessed such level of honesty and ballsiness. And that's manly. When a man's that level, when a man's really ballsy and honest, that's masculine energy. That's manly. And women like that. Even though she didn't like the idea of being with him and another girl. And who knows what's going to ever happen between him and these two girls. But the point is, the honesty was appreciated, because it just shows the character of the person who is being honest. And it takes you out of the rut, if you will, because, there's no guesswork. You eliminate all guesswork. And for anyone who's ever confused about anything in their dating life, obviously there's details to every situation, but I'd recommend just being honest at all times with every person. It's not always easy, but it's always the best policy on the long run. So trust me on that. And if you would like to get my personal help, the quickest way is to book a paid full coaching session or free 10-minute consultation on my website at www.dopelifecoaching.com. And whatever you see of benefit for you, either the 10-minute free consultation, the offer is going to expire soon, so please take advantage, or book a 1-hour coaching session. My best clients have obviously been the ones who were paid clients over the course of weeks and months. So I recommend you do the same. And I shall speak to you soon. Have any questions? Go ahead and email us. Have a good day, man.